Class, now it's time for social studies again. I've been on a social studies kick lately. We keep doing social studies every day. If you enjoy science more, we will be back to science soon. But for now, we're going to cover the 4 regions of Texas again, a little more detailed than the lessons we had previously. This particular lesson is about the Texas region called the Mountains and Basins region. So, the key idea, that information that you want to know at the end of this lesson is, I will know about the geography of the Mountains and Basins region. There are several vocabulary terms you'll see in the lesson today. They're highlighted so they stand out. So don't worry about defining these. You'll actually learn the definitions as we keep going through this lesson. So those 4 vocabulary terms today are desert, time zone, border, and landmark. So a little background again, to refresh our memories. Texas can be divided into 4 major geographic regions. These regions are determined by their major landforms. The region located in the far west of Texas is the Mountains and Basins region, also known as the Basin and Range region. Find this geographic region on the map. Lucky for you, this one is labeled on the right here. So in red, we have Mountains and Basins region over here. So for this topic, the land. Let's talk about the land in the Mountains and Basins region. The basins in the western part of this region make up part of the Chihuahuan Desert. Texas shares this desert with New Mexico, Arizona, and the country of Mexico. Mountain ranges run through the center of the region. The Guadalupe Mountains run from New Mexico into Texas. This is the highest mountain range in the state. Guadalupe Peak is the highest point in Texas. It stands 8,749 feet above sea level. The second tallest mountains are the Davis Mountains. South of these, the Chisos Mountains are the 3rd highest range in the state. The climate in this geographic region is very dry. In fact, much of this region is a desert, or an area that gets less than 10 inches of rain per year. The vegetation in the desert includes the creosote bush, cacti, yucca, agave, and sotol plants. It is very hot in the summer, but because of the mountains, the region can have cold winters. There can even be snow here sometimes. Here's a closer look at that image from the previous slide. It's an image from the Guadalupe Mountains. Continuing on with this section about the land in this region, because this region is dry and rocky, it is not good for farming. Most of the population lives along the Rio Grande, where they have access to water. In the rest of the region, communities are small and the mountains separate towns. People have adapted to the rugged environment of this geographic region by creating parks. Every year, about 1/2 million people visit the Guadalupe Mountains National Park and Big Bend National Park. Mountain lions, peregrine falcons, and other wildlife make their homes in these parks. Many people work in these parks, protecting the animals and the land and helping visitors. This is an example of human activity creating an economic region. In this case, the economy is based on tourists visiting parks. Here's a closer look at that portion of the map from the previous slide as well. We can see the Davis Mountains right there. You can see Guadalupe Mountain National Park up here. El Paso way over here, that big city. Also the Chihuahuan Desert. So let's compare geographic regions. Texas is not the only part of North America to have mountains and basins. The Mountains and Basins region of Texas is part of a larger region known as the Basin and Range Province. This larger region extends from Mexico and covers much of New Mexico, Arizona, and Nevada. Long, narrow mountain ranges separated by flat valleys or basins cover much of the region. This is one of the driest areas in the United States. In fact, it includes parts of 4 different deserts: the Chihuahuan, the Sonoran, the Mojave, and the Great Basin deserts. The Basin and Range Province is home to 3 national parks. While there are a few large cities, most towns have small populations and are often isolated. Many people work in recreation and tourism, ranching, or mining. So, with a few exceptions, there are some major cities in the Mountains and Basins Range province. In particular, for Texas, we have El Paso for sure, but we'll learn about that in a second. Most of the towns in the Mountains and Basins region are small. Often, they are separated from other towns by mountains. However, there is one major city in this geographic region for Texas, El Paso. El Paso is Spanish for the pass. The city is located near a mountain pass, an area lower than the surrounding mountains that makes it easy to get to the other side of the mountains. This mountain pass is an important landform in the geographic region. El Paso is the fifth largest city in Texas. It is so far away from other major Texas cities that it is in a different time zone. A time zone is an area in which all the clocks are set to the same time. For example, if it is 4 p.m. in El Paso right now, it's 5 p.m. in Houston, or also for us here in Dallas and Fort Worth. El Paso is in one time zone, and Houston, another part of the state, is in a different time zone. El Paso is located on the Rio Grande, a river that marks the border between Texas and Mexico. A border is a boundary line. On the other side of the Rio Grande is the Mexican city of Juarez. More than 2 million people live in these two cities. And our last section for today, a natural landmark. A landmark is an object, such as a mountain, that stands out from the area around it. Early settlers needed a landmark to help them find their way through the Guadalupe Pass. The mountain known as El Capitan was perfect for the job. It was tall enough to be easily seen. It was different enough to be easily recognized. Even today, people use this mountain as a landmark when traveling in this part of Texas.